All right, then. So now what we have to do is to assign to fetch all the users from the table. So let's go ahead and do that. First, let's create the server functions to get all the users uh, from the DB, from the collections, Firebase collection. So functions to retrieve the users from the cloud. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say exports dot get all users equals to functions dot https dot on request, open it and call it as an async function, send the request and response as a parameter inside, then open it, enable the course equals to request comma response. Then we need to create one more async function, a callback function, enter. So now here we have to copy this try and catch and delete everything inside the try. All right, now inside this try, what I'm going to do is so const snapshot equals to await db dot collections, which is user or what, users. Then from the users, so we are going to fetch all the details. So users dot get, so this is going to return that the list of our documents. Then I'm going to say const users equals to an empty array. Then over here snapshot dot for each, open it. So we are going to get the one by one doc inside. Then I'm going to say users dot push the doc dot data. So we are going to push the document dot data inside that users array. Then all we have to do is to return dot response dot status as 200 dot json the users. Right, this is it. This is all we have to do. So now all we have to do is to save these changes. Now it will be saved successfully. So once it's saved successfully, we have to use this to fetch the complete users information. So to do that, what we are going to do is, so we are going to use the hooks just like the same way inside the apps. How we fetch the complete information, just like the same way we are going to get that complete information. So here I'm going to say use users.js. Use user, it's to get the authentication information, and use users, it's going to be get the complete information about that complete logged in informations from the users collections. So all we have to do is to copy this and let's go here and paste it. Instead of use apps, what we are going to do, we have to say use users, something like that. Then data and query, everything will be changed. This is going to be users, and what is the information you have? Yeah, user. So the state name is going to be users, and here also let's change this to users, and this is going to be get all users from the cloud. We haven't created this function, right? So use users, use query, and here users. So everything is changed now so far. So copy this function and let's open up the API, and just like the same way, right after over here, let's keep it right after over here, function to call the API endpoint to get all users. So export const get all users is equals to, and let's change this to an async function, and let's copy this try and catch from here, and let's change this to, instead of get all apps, this is supposed to be get all users. So copy that users, get all users, response dot okay. Instead of apps, this is supposed to be users, right? So save these changes and let's go to the use users, and let's import that get all users and remove the get all apps from the cloud. Save these changes. Now everything is perfectly fine. Now all I have to do is to go to the admin list of apps. Where is the pages? Yeah, pages, admin page, and admin users. This is the page where we have to fetch the user. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say const use users. From there we have to fetch the data, and I'm going to keep it as users, then is loading, is error, then refetch. So over here what I'm going to do, if is loading, then what I need to do is one second. Okay, so if it is, then what we have to do is to return the main loader, right? Which means if it is loading, that means it's trying to fetch the data, so we need to bring that loader animation. So save these changes. So you can see it's showing that loading animations. There is no mistakes, which means it successfully pulled all the users data, and we have the two different users over here. Look at that, right? So now we have the users data in our local end, which means our API is working fine, and the query client is also working fine, and it's having the data in its hand. Now all I have to do is to make sure this class name, what we can do is okay, let's do it this way. Width, it's going to be full, and flex wrap, item center, and justify it evenly, and gap between it's going to be 4, right? Save the changes, and inside here now what I need to do is I'm gonna bring the users. If the users and the users dot length, length, if the length is greater than 0, then only we have to bring this, we have to render the data, or else react dot fragments, and we have to say it does no data, something like that. So right now it's not showing no data. It's because we know that the user object is having some data in it. Now here what I need to do is I need to render it. So let's render it. So now users dot map, open it. We need to get the single user, then we need to open it, and here I'm just going to say div, or we can create what we can do is over here admin component, here I can say user list card .jsx RAFCE, save the changes, and in the index.js we have to export this user list card, copy and export it from here, close it, and here we need to bring that user list card, and the key it's going to be every user in the data we have this UID, that's a unique column. We have to use that UID as a key, then supply the user in the user prop, and let's export that, let's spread that user prop over here so we can access that user data inside here. Save it, and now you can see we have the user list card and user list card displaying us two different types. Okay. So now what I have to do is let me jump into the user card over here. So this is class name, so I'm just going to say width, we don't have to worry about the width. Let's make the padding every side is going to be 4, and we have to bring the border and border gray, it's going to be 600. So now we have some border over there, or let's keep it as 800. Okay, that is pretty much enough. Then rounded medium, instead of gray, let's keep it as zinc. Okay, this is pretty much good. Let's keep it as 700, I think so. Yep, that's more than enough now. Now inside here we have to keep it everything as flex column, item center and justify center, view and make it as a word wrap. And inside here, now what I have to do is first I need to bring the image, so which I do have that image URL in the name as picture URL, I think so, picture, right? So I need to check whether the user having this picture or not. If the user have this picture object, this particular picture object, we have to display that picture object user dot picture, or else we need to bring the avatar from our local file. So then I'm just going to say class name, width is equals to 24, height it's going to be let's give it as 24 itself, and object cover rounded empty. Say this changes, so that should bring the picture over here. Look at that, cool, right? So then all we have to do is to bring the username. So paragraph tag, let's bring the paragraph tag here, user question mark dot name. Save the changes, you will have your name over there. Then class name, text Excel and font semi bold. Save the changes. Okay, that's perfect. And let's increase the gap between it, gap 3. That's pretty much enough. And we have to say the role, it's going to be user dot role. Save the changes, so it's going to say admin or role. So this is the role, it's going to display in that way. So class name, it's going to be text base and font semi bold. Save the changes. Look at that, it looks like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a button. So this button, it needs to have two different options over here. So what I'm going to say is if the user dot role is equals to admin, if that's the case, I have to render a button, or else I have to render a button. If he is an admin, then we need to say mark as member. The same thing, if he is not an admin, we need to say mark as admin, something like that, right? So then we have to change this as a button. So all I have to do is to class name, which is going to be text sm, a very small size, and font semi bold, and padding px, it's going to be 2, py, it's going to be 1, and bg, it's going to be zinc 400 or something, 700. Save the changes, it looks like that. Then rounded median. Save the changes, and the cursor pointer. Now all I have to do is to, we have to change this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create an API. So when I click this in the query, when I click this Marcus member, I'm in the query, I'm going to send it he's as a member. When I click the admin, I'm going to send in the query, I'm going to send it as an admin. So in the query, what we have to do is we have to supply the ID, which user that we are trying to update, Okay, so we have to think it properly over here, or else it's going to make it more complex for us. What we have to do is we have to think it wisely, otherwise it will be a problem for us. Okay, so let's write it. Then we'll figure it out what else we need. So here what we are going to do is function to update the user role. Okay, so exports dot update the user role equals to functions dot https on request, open it and keep it as an async function, request and response as a parameter for that function, and enable the course, use the same request and response object, and along with it call and one more callback function, and use the same try and catch over here. Copy it, paste it, delete everything inside, All right. So now what I need to do is, so I have to get the ID and the string, whatever the role string which I try to update over here. So what I'm going to do is const. I need to get that ID, right? So underscore ID. Then I need to get that mm, 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 one second. So it's quite confusing now. All right. So what we have to do is, so we have to fetch the ID. Then of course I'm going to spread the data, whatever the data, I'm going to send it through the body. I need to spread the data because we might we can use the same API not only to update the role. So whatever the data that you wish to update the user, whatever the data like user role or name, whatever, if you're simply passing it to here, the data and along with the ID, this API will ready to update the user. So what we can do is, instead of keeping this as a role, we can keep this function as update the user. If you supply the role object, the role will get updated. If you supply the email or name, whatever, this API will be reusable for any kind of data, whatever you're supplying to it, right? Then what we have to do is, so all I have to say await db.collections, open it and use the collections as users. Yeah, that's the users collection. So from the collections, what I have to do, I need to find out that very specific doc using this same ID. Then I need to update the doc by supplying the same data into it, right? And once it's done, all I have to do is to return response.status as 200. Then JSON, open it, and all I have to do is to say the message as blog, sorry, the user updated, save the changes. So now this function will be ready to do that. Now all I have to do is to, just like the exact same way how I created this new app. So if you open the new app over here, you can see just exactly the same way what we did. We we sent the doc inside and we updated that API from this over here, from here, by using this method, right? So all I have to do is to copy the same method and paste it over here. Instead of save app data, say update user data to the cloud. So what I have to do, let's open this and update. Instead of this, copy this, supply it over here. Method, it's going to be put method. So because we are going to update it, content, everything is okay, and we have to supply the data, right? That's what we need to do, and the response data will be returned back over here. Save it. Then all I have to do is to copy this from here, and let me get back to the users list over here. And whenever I click the here on click, I'm going to call a callback function, and I'm going to say update user role with a string. I'm going to send a string. We are going to update the user as member. So here const update user role equals to an async function. Open it here. Let's change this to async and we'll get the role over here, and let's paste it over here. Await, instead of save user data, this is, what is that API name? Copy this and supply it over here. Supply it, and the data what we are supplying to it, we need to get the user ID, right? So I'm going to supply the underscore ID. It's going to be user underscore user question mark dot, what is the document ID that the user is having? I think the user is having the UID, I think so. Yes, yep, they're having their UID as the document ID. So let's apply the UID, then role, whatever the role it is, we are supplying the role. So we are supplying this role object over here, role going to be row, like this, or you can simply send it as a role itself, right? So this clear all fields, it's not necessary. Let's bring the toast, and we have to refetch all the users, right? So we have to refetch all the users. So copy this and let's bring it over here. Let's bring it and let's use this over here, refetch all the users. So this we have to say user role updated, something like this. So let's make sure there is no mistakes. Okay, we are getting a mistake. So we haven't imported this one, right? Import this one. So now this is fine. Now all I have to do is to make sure if I click this, nothing. Okay, you can see user role being updated. Now if I refresh this, okay, I think it's not allows me to get inside because I updated the user role of my admin account. Okay, see, virtual.galaxy, it changed to role as a member because the function is working fine. So we have to change this to admin. So update. So now if I refresh this, refresh it, and now if I get into the admin, come on, it's not allowing me to type anything else. Okay, I think I'm having a problem with my keyboard now. Slash admin. Yep, now it's getting it inside, and you can see we're having the user objects and everything. If I click this mark as admin, it is taking some time. What happened? Inspect elements, console. If I click mark it as admin, okay, I haven't written any function for it, right? So I have to call this on click event on click, mark as an admin, paste, copy, paste, and mark this guy as an admin. Save this change. Now if I click mark as admin, you can see user role updated, and you can see instantly the user role is changed to admin. If I click this mark as member, you can see user role has been updated. He will be navigated to the member role again. So this is how you need to work with changing the user role permissions and everything. So we successfully finished this admin part. Then the next part, the most important thing is to fix the home UI. That's what we are going to do now.